Okay, so I'm not gonna say.
say it and then you repeat after me, and if you raise your right hand. I, Tony Gore,
I, Tony Booyer,
do swear by the ever-living God
do swear by the ever-living God
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of Moffett County Commissioner,
the duties of the office of Moffett County Commissioner,
upon which I am about to enter,
upon which I'm about to enter,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
If you go by one thing. Do you homeschool? You go or?
Oh,
snap. I
Do you swear by the ever-living God
do swear by the ever-living God
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of the office of Moffett County Commissioner,
the duties of the office of Moffett County Commissioner,
upon which I am about to enter,
upon which I am about
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my
Congratulations. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Call this meeting Tuesday, January 14th, 2025 meeting to order. Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Also, Chair will move to make a motion to approve the consent agenda A through M.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? I think the only thing on there that I feel like we probably should mention is that salvage metal contract with Xfield Services that the landfill put that out to, the Road and Bridge put that out to bid. Only received one bid back, which was Xfield Services. And so that's where that's on there. But the ones that bid last year chose not to bid this year. So I only had one bid. Other than that, I think everything's as normal. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, public comments. Anyone that has a conversation or a piece or a complaint or a compliment about what's going on at the county, this is your opportunity to speak on your behalf.
Bill Keel,
Sir.
4217 East Victory Way. I just have one question. In the last meeting we had last week, what is the county's definition of a lot? It was mentioned several times that like one 400 square foot building could be placed on one lot. So what is the definition of the size of a lot?
Yeah, I don't have the answer, but I'll get you the answer.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I will.
Yeah, it's
Well,
very
definitely.
important for
Yes, sir.
the new proposal. And this is way past overdue and probably out of line completely. But how was the solar farm south of town ever approved when it's on a major wildlife migration route?
Mhm.
In Wyoming, they made them tear down the fence on
Yeah.
a antelope migration route.
Good
So,
question.
yeah.
But I'll just tell you, CPW allowed it.
Okay,
So the Colorado Parks and Wildlife agreed to it, had them switch out some corridors, but the CPW said it was fine,
okay,
which we disagreed with 100%. We thought that that's a huge migration pattern.
mhm,
But CPW came along and trumped us, right, on what they felt like. They're the wildlife experts, right? Not us.
well, it's over and done with anyhow.
Yeah, right, yeah. But we did fight that. just so
Okay.
you know. Yes, sir.
Thank you very
Yep,
much.
have a great day. Anybody else for public comment? We do have a public hearing here at 8:45. Okay, we do have one, any general discussion before we go to the next one? No? General discussion, okay. We do have two representatives of the Key Club from the high school here today. I believe the president and vice president. They're going to give us a quick update of what's going on. I think they're on.
Okay.
State your names if you would.
I'm Kiera Bouyer and I'm the president of Key Club.
And I'm Josephine Gooberry. I'm the vice president.
So lately we have been raising funds for our allocations that come up in the spring. We did our big fundraiser of butter braids. Usually we sell wreaths, but last year we did not make as much money doing wreaths. We made $600, and that's just not as much as we were hoping for, and that's why we decided to switch to butter braids. We had a sizable increase with $1,676 from our butter braids and profit, so we'll be using that for allocations later in the spring.
And then we also did a hot chocolate bar. It was a kind of smaller fundraiser, but we made $50 doing that. That one this winter.
Yeah, and then as a club, we've been doing different community service projects. At our last meeting, we made dog treats that went to the Bear Creek Animal Hospital, just things to get our club involved with the community and to get them more contacts within the community.
And then over the last couple months, we worked on making tie blankets to donate to the community, and we donated those to the holiday drive in December.
Yep, and then our last thing is we are going to be coming up on the HRC grant, and we're going to put in an application so that we can allocate money to nonprofits in the community. And that's probably our biggest thing that we do as a club. We partner with Youth United Way to allocate money that way. And that's all we have to update you guys on.
On the HRC, for anybody that don't know, usually the Key Club or Youth United Way, however you want to look at it, asks for about $10,000 to reallocate back to our nonprofits. So they go through all the grant process that we go through on the HRC. So it's kind of a neat process to get involved in. They have to pick and choose who gets money and who doesn't. That's a tough position when you're talking about nonprofits trying to do those things. So that's a good thing to have to do. So, any questions for?
No, just thanks for the work you guys are doing.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have you too. All right. Well, we still have a few minutes, so why don't we go to item number 1? We have 2 things here. Community Volunteer Board seat appointments. We'll start there. So I'm just going to go through these name and then we'll just make a motion for all, I think. Is that okay? Everybody? So Cemetery Board, we're looking to appoint or continue Owen Grant and Duke Duzick. If I say these names wrong, forgive me in advance. Community Correction Board is Debbie Belleville, Mike Flannery, and Nalay Cashmore. Employee Retirement Board would be Bonnie Shirley. Housing Authority Board, Carol Priest and Tom Mathers. These are all people put in for these. Land Use Board, Miranda Kowchak and Kim Gessert. Gressett. Library Board of Trustees, Gloria Devan, I'm saying. Local Marketing District, Wade Gerber and Marshall Gray. MCTA Board, Nikki Mowdy. Maybell Community Center Board is Casey Harrod. And then Memorial Regional Health Board of Trustee, Denise Arola. And then also moving one of the alternates from the Planning and Zoning Board or Planning and Zoning Commission, Ford Richmond, from an alternate position to a voting position on that. So those are letters of interest that we received and appointments that we're looking to make this morning.
And I would just note that we didn't have any additional letters of interest for any of those boards and that we still do have open board seats if anyone else is still interested in serving the community.
Yep. What's our pleasure?
And you just want that in one move.
I think so, yeah.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the slate of board representatives as read.
Second. Motion is second. Any further discussion? I think it's well noted that appreciate volunteers for sure. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I will say that Hamilton Community Board, Center Board has one opening. Maybell Community Center Board has one opening. Maybell, well, that one probably cut. Planning and Zoning, one opening. And then Tourism Board has 2 openings still for people to apply on. The next is that Commissioner Chair appointment that will start a new chair starting next meeting. What is our pleasure?
Chair. Point. Mel Billard. Chair.
I will second that. I think in the years past, for discussion, in the years past, they've always done every other or every year they switch these things, and this board selected to do 2-year terms so that you can kind of, you know, that first year of learning the chair position, so that works out pretty good.
And it helps Aaron with the paperwork.
It definitely helps Aaron changing everything with the state and everything, who's the chair of this thing for sure. Yeah, so. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of appointing Melody Villard as the chair of the commission? Aye. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Don't really matter what you vote.
Yeah, you have no.
All right. We have about 3 minutes, so we're just going to take a little recess, and in 3 minutes, we will start our public hearing. Back into session. We'll go over some things for the public hearing, and then we'll get into it. Let the record show today's posted public hearing regarding the review and only review of proposed zoning regulation and amendments This agenda was posted twice in the Craig Daily Press and on the county websites. Once the public hearing has been declared, I will ask Candace Miller, Planning and Zoning Coordinator, to present to the Board of County Commissions the review as submitted. Once the presentation is completed, the commissioners may ask questions or make comments. I will then turn to the audience if there's anyone who wants to testify either for or against. Any citizen of Moffett County may testify once the public hearing has been declared and all the information has been presented. For those who want to testify, you'll be asked to approach the commissioners, state your name for the record, and will be given approximately 3 minutes to present your testimony either for or against. Erin Miller will be the timekeeper today. She will notify the Board of County Commissioners as a speaker and the speaker that 20 seconds remain before your time is up. No decision will be made during the public hearing. This is an opportunity for you to provide testimony in favor or opposition of the proposed request. The commissioners have the option of asking questions or answering questions related to the topic during the hearing process. Once all testimony has been heard, the public hearing will be declared closed and we will go back to regular session. I'll refer back to the board for discussion and a decision on said proposal. We say 3 minutes as long as you are gracious. You know, we're not going to hold you straight to the 3 minutes, but we can't give everybody 20 minutes either. So please be respectful, and we'll definitely want to hear your side of the deal. So, all right, we'll go into public hearing. If Candace Miller would.
Good morning, Commissioners. So the Planning and Zoning Commission has been having conversations and doing our research through the zoning regulations that are countywide. We have had numerous conversations looking at very, very few items within the zoning regulation that we agreed required some small changes to even just update the language and align with some other documents that we have, one being the International Property Maintenance Code, to just make sure that, you know, that our documents align with one another. And so in our review, we found that the following amendments were our recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. We had only a few within the section 205 under definitions, public utility. Recommended change to read for the purpose of this resolution: transportation, transmission, distribution, renewable energy, or communication and associated facilities or systems. Temporary, recommended change to read: lasting for only a limited period of time, not permanent. Travel trailer, change to read travel trailer / RV, any vehicle propelled or towed by or on another vehicle designed for temporary living quarters, typically for camping, travel, or seasonal use. Travel trailer / RVs are not intended to be used as permanent dwellings. Travel trailer park, recommended change to read travel trailer park / RV park. A travel trailer / RV park is a piece of land developed in accordance with Moffett County subdivision regulations that offer short-term or overnight accommodations for 2 or more travel, trailer, and recreational vehicles. We recommended to add the following definitions: recreational vehicle. A recreational vehicle or RV is designed for temporary living quarters, typically for camping, travel, or seasonal use. RVs are not intended for use as a primary dwelling, as a permanent dwelling. Also recommended adding the following: hazardous commercial vehicle. A hazardous commercial vehicle is also known as a hazmat truck. It's a specifically designed vehicle that transports hazardous materials. These vehicles are built to meet strict safety standards set forth by the regulatory bodies such as U.S. Department of Transportation and the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as a definition of non-hazardous vehicle. A commercial vehicle that is not transporting any hazardous materials that require special placarding or labeling, meaning it is carrying regular cargo that is not considered dangerous according to transportation regulations. Section 400, application. Just jump over to that one. So we made a recommendation under number 3B to remove to accommodate a house or large number of families. All of our, majority of our zones list as multifamily or single multifamily attached. And so just that language is a little contradictory to what is already permitted as a use in all of our zones. So we recommended removing that. And then also in section 400 under application, section 405.3 for conditional uses, that's a partial amendment to just update that language so that that first paragraph is what is written. It was recommended to add the second small paragraph that if the property changes ownership and the use remains the same, if the use remain the same, the existing conditional use permit can be amended to new owner with new owner information. If the use is changed, a new conditional use permit must be applied for. This is just to kind of, keep things aligned and current on those types of application or those permits on file. The section 405.4 temporary uses. Upon application to the county planning department, a temporary use permit may be issued by the planning director for the listed temporary uses in each district. The permit will be approved. And sorry, that first sentence is the same as it reads today. The changes lie in the permit will be approved for a specific period of time based on the scope of the proposed project. If in the opinion of the planning director, a special condition would exist that would warrant further review, the application will go through the appropriate approval process. Renewals of temporary use permits will be assessed in the final year of the proposed end date of the approved application. Failure to terminate such temporary use by this specified time shall be considered a misdemeanor and is punishable under section 520.2 of this resolution.
So on that, you are taking away the amount of renewals? So in the original one, they can only do 2 renewals.
Right. So the original, the way it's originally written is they have the specified period of time for a temporary use, so 12 months, 6 months, 2 months, and then 2 renewals at that same time. So really you're limited to, even at the 1-year renewal, a total of 3 years. And by looking at that and understanding the scope of some projects may exceed a 3-year window, by approving it based on the proposed project start and end date, we may not even necessarily need to do any renewals because we're allowing the project for the length of time requested or needed to see the project through. But yes, the renewals then would be assessed, in that final year, if they're needed.
I wonder if it wouldn't be better that, say, I understand we have a couple projects that are going to be longer than 1 year, right?
Right.
I mean, this pumped hydro project will be longer than 1 year.
Right.
Obviously. But I wonder that if it wouldn't be better that if we did, and this is just a suggestion, obviously we're not making a decision here, that if the project is 5 years long, that we say at 2.5 years, you need to renew this. Then we're able to say, actually, this isn't cutting teeth. I mean, we're not, even though we have some other things that we could be checking on, but if they fall through the cracks, we have a safeguard there that says, yeah, we're not renewing this, even though your project's still going. You're not holding up to your end of the bargain.
Okay,
Whether that is
so midpoint of,
whatever
okay.
midpoint that they ask, that we do one renewal in that, for the fact that, I think that's a lot of things happen. We have so much going on that they fall through the cracks, and I would hate to
Great.
wait till the very end and be like, oh man, you guys didn't hold up to your end of the bargain, but yet
Absolutely.
we allowed you go 5 years, you know? So at least this would be a caption point. I don't know.
Yep.
That's just, obviously, we're not making a decision, but something to consider.
Yeah,
in that
absolutely.
process, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else on anything so far? Okay, jumping into the, sorry, the actual zoning. So section 410, first zone, A agricultural district. Section 410.1 permitted uses, recommended to add single-family residence / attached. That is a permitted use in all of the other zones. Just makes sense that that is also permitted in that zone. Section 410.2, number 2, permitted accessory uses. I will share that this is something that is a permitted accessory use in all of the zones in Moffett County. So I'm going to read this several times to you. In a couple of the zones, it is small variations, as in hazardous, non-hazardous, or limited to 2 axles. So just so you know, you'll hear me, but it's not just repeating. So in this section, we're recommended to change to read the storage of licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including hazardous commercial vehicles, for use in conjunction with any permitted use or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from roadway or adjacent property, as per the IPMC, the International Property Maintenance Code. Section 410.4, temporary uses. The kind of introductory sentence of that section, recommended change to read: the following uses may be permitted in the A district on a temporary basis, subject to time limit specified on approved permit. 410.4, number 1 through 7, as I stated, removing those time limits and approving based off of the proposed project scope. 410.4, number 1, change to read: construction office, temporary living quarters, and yard incidental to construction on premise, the time limit based on active building permits. We don't currently have any language that states how our permitting would relate to building permitting. And so to ensure, and one of the things that we've dealt with in the Planning Commission is concerns about living in campers. And so if we can address that, that is something that is acceptable via, if you're building and you have an active building permit, that you can utilize your, RV, recreational vehicle, for temporary living quarters, as long as you have an active building permit. 410.4, number 7, dwellings not otherwise in violation of the zoning resolution, building codes, or state and health safety regulations erected or placed to provide temporary workforce accommodations. There's just a few more in this one, and then if you have any questions before I move on to the next zone. So 410.5, property development standards.
Did you, are you going to 10.5? Is that where you're headed, or are you?
Yeah, I'm still with that. I just have 2 more things that are in ag, and then we can stop and.
No, you were just at
10.5 for the lot size.
Yeah, if you want to clarify the lot size for.
Oh, yeah. So
10.5.
sorry, the question was posed on the lot size. So every zone has a specific, so ag is a minimum of 5 acres. As you jump in, you jump into rural community. It's a lot no less than 8,000 square foot. R1 is 6,000 square feet. R2 is 6,000 square feet in area. MH1 is a lot not less than 6,000 square feet. So each zone has a specified,
Number of
Minimum.
square feet or acres.
yes, correct.
Hopefully that helps the question there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So for 10.5, number 2, proposed change to read, one dwelling may be constructed or erected on each parcel, except that additional dwellings or dwelling units may be permitted, subject to approval of a conditional use permit. For 10.5, number 4, change to read, each dwelling hereafter erected or constructed in the district shall have a minimum square foot and of 200 square foot. Dwelling units erected for the sole purpose of seasonal and recreational use shall be exempt from special use permits and other requirements for an engineered foundation, energy code, running water, heat, and functional bathroom and kitchen, provided that the unit will not be used for more than 6 months out of a year and has a footprint of no less than 200 square feet or less than 1,200 square feet. A porta-john, composting toilet, or approved outhouse is required. And so that's ag. Do you have anything on ag before I jump into the next one?
No, and I think that when you look at these things, these are, I've heard lots of talk about something like this, but the reality is every outfitter in Moffett County uses this type of situation to store their hunter. So
Yeah.
if we don't allow that, we're cutting out every outfitter that's in Moffett County.
Yeah.
Ranchers, and this is only ag, ranchers that allow their workers to come, that
Mm-hmm.
are there for 6 months to work. This is where they're staying. They're staying in things like this. I think that's an important issue, that this is who Moffett County is.
Right. Yeah.
On those things, hunting and outfitting and ranching.
Well, and
So
I'd like to
away-
add to that is that there's a difference when we're allowing additional dwellings for your workers as a conditional use on your property, which we've seen, really forever, that, they'll apply for a conditional use to put in cabins that they're providing lodging for their workers or hunters or however they operate their business. But by allowing or having a process in place to assess these things that would be truly a more temporary thing, and only permitting those as a temporary use versus a conditional use, which is already something that's written in. So, there's a difference in then how we, manage that through the county. So rural residential, section 415.1, permitted uses. Currently, rural residential only allows for sorry, I think that might have actually been, oh wait, I'm in the wrong one. I apologize. One tab over. So currently, rural residential district only allows for a single-family residence as the only type of resident listed. And so we proposed adding single-family / attached as well as multifamily. And
This
rural, just to clarify, rural residential would be the second largest lot, if you will, whereas ag is a minimum of 5. Now you have in rural residential an area where you can have 3 acres. So, we believe that it just made sense to allow for those additional permitted uses for the single-family attached and multifamily.
Main thing that comes across your desk is that mom and dad own a ranch and there's a house there on a parcel, and they want their kids to live next door they have to try to subdivide that to get multiple housing on there.
Mhm.
This would clean that up to
Yeah.
where they could put it on the same on the same portion of land. Families could live there,
Mhm.
ranching, those type of things.
Yes.
Just clarification. I think
Mhm.
that's the number one thing we see
Yeah.
coming on the desk is that, oh, I got 30 acres where my house is, but I want to give my kids 15, or I want to, God, they're going to live next door, but I don't want to, we can't put it on one place.
Right.
So, yeah.
Um, 415.2 permitted accessory uses, that language is almost identical, except for it's non-hazardous. So the storage of licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including one non-hazardous commercial vehicle for use in conjunction with any permitted use or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. Section 415.4, temporary uses, and the introductory sentence changed to read the following: uses may be permitted in RR district on a temporary basis, subject to time limit specified on approved temporary use permit. 415.4.1, changed to read construction office, temporary living quarters, and yard incidental to construction on premise. The time limit is based on an active building permit. Property, 415.5, property development standards. 415.5.2, recommended change to read: one dwelling may be constructed or erected on each lot, except additional dwellings may be permitted, subject to approval of conditional use permit. 412, oh, that should have said 415. I will correct that. 0.5.4, each dwelling hereafter erected or constructed in the district should have a minimum area of 200 square feet. Dwelling units erected for the sole purpose of seasonal and recreational use shall be exempt from requirements of an engineered foundation, energy code, running water, heat, and functional bathroom and kitchen, provided that the unit will not be used for more than 6 months out of a year and has a footprint of no less than 200 and less than 1,200 square feet. Porta-john, composting toilet is approved. Outhouse is required. And so that was rural RR. So RC, rural community, 416.2 permitted accessory uses. So 416.2.2, that language is identical to the previous. Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, just for the record.
Okay. The storage of licensed licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including one non-hazardous commercial vehicle for use in conjunction with any permitted use or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles should not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. 416.4.1, under temporary uses, changed to read construction office, temporary living quarters, or yard incidental to construction on premise, time limit based on active building permit. Section 416.5.2, under property development standards, and changed to read: one dwelling may be constructed or erected on each 450 square foot feet of net lot area. So the next section, 420, is R1, low density residential district. 420.2, permitted accessory uses, changed to read: the storage of licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including one non-hazardous vehicle limited to 2 axles, for use in conjunction with any permitted or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from an adjacent roadway or adjacent in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. 420.4 temporary uses. The following uses may be permitted in R1 district on a temporary basis, subject to the time limit specified on approved permit. 420.4.1, change to read construction office, temporary living quarters, and yard incidental to construction on premise. The time limit is based on active building permits. Section, so 420.5 development, property development standards, 420.5.2, change to read one dwelling may be constructed or erected on each lot. Section 425, R2 or medium density residential district. 425.2.2 under permitted accessory uses. The storage of licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including one non-hazardous commercial vehicle, limited to 2 axles for use in conjunction with any permitted use or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. Section 425.4 temporary uses. The following uses may be permitted in the R2 district on a temporary basis, subject to time limit specified on approved permit. 425.5.2 under development, property development standards, one dwelling may be constructed or erected on each lot. MH1, which is our mobile home subdivision district, section 435.2.5, under permitted accessory uses, the storage of licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including one non-hazardous commercial vehicle limited to 2 axles for use in conjunction with any permitted or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. Section 435.4, temporary uses. The following uses may be permitted in the MH1 district on a temporary basis, subject to the time limit on specified on approved permit. Section 435.5.2, under development, property development standards, change to read one dwelling may be constructed or placed on each lot. MH2, section 440, MH2 is mobile home park district. Section 440.2, permitted accessory uses, change to read the storage of licensed vehicles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including one non-hazardous vehicle limited to two axles for use in conjunction with any permitted or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. Property 440.5, property development standards, and 440.5.2, change to read one dwelling may be constructed or placed on each lot. Section 445B, business district, 445.2, permitted accessory uses, change to read 445.2.2, the storage of automobiles, licensed automobiles, light trucks, recreational vehicles, and one non-hazardous commercial vehicle limited to 2 axles for use in conjunction with any permitted conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. For 445.4 temporary uses, the following may be uses may be permitted in the B district on a temporary basis, subject to time limit specified on the temporary use permit. 445.5.2 development property development standards. Currently under that section, under it states no requirements, but as a permitted use, a dwelling as a custodial function to another permitted use or conditional use in the district is listed. So we move to remove that no requirement and add that definition in that section. I'm sorry, for 50, section 450C, which is the commercial district. 450.2.2 change to read, and the storage of licensed automobiles, light trucks, recreational vehicles, and non-hazardous commercial vehicles for use in conjunction with any permitted use or approved conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. 450.4 temporary uses changed to read, the following may be permitted in the C district on a temporary basis, subject to the time limit specified on approved temporary use permit. 450.5.2 property development standards, also the same, remove no requirement and add dwelling as a custodial function to another permitted or approved use as listed in that permitted use for that district. Section 455 LI light industrial is 455.2 permitted accessory uses. The storage of licensed automobiles, light trucks, recreational vehicles, and non-hazardous commercial vehicles for use in conjunction with any permitted use or conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property per the IPMC. 455.4 temporary uses changed to read, the following may be permitted in the light industrial district on a temporary basis, subject to a time limit specified on approved temporary use permit. 455.5.2, same, remove no requirement, add dwelling as a custodial function to another permitted use or conditional use in the district. Section 460, heavy industrial. 460.2.2 change to read, the storage of licensed automobiles, recreational vehicles, trucks, and agricultural equipment, including hazardous commercial vehicles for use in conjunction with any permitted use or conditional use in the district. Inoperative or unlicensed vehicles shall not be kept or stored in plain sight from a roadway or adjacent property as per the IPMC. 460.4 temporary uses, the following may be permitted in the HI district on a temporary basis, subject to the time limit specified on approved temporary use permit. 460.5 property development standards. 460.4.2 change to read, also removing no requirement, adding dwelling as a custodial function to another permitted or approved conditional use in the district. And then finally, 465.0 for open. The only change there was just the consistent language on temporary use that these, the following uses in the O district on a temporary basis, subject to the time limit specified on approved temporary use. That was it.
That was a lot.
I mean, it was,
That was
it,
like that was a big deal here. Like, it was a lot right there.
it absolutely, it was a lot, and I'm not gonna have a voice tomorrow. So while it looks like a lot, it actually, I mean, it's repetitive. It's the same small, several changes in each of our zones. And this was definitely not any type of a, massive overhaul of the zoning regulations. It was very minimal to keep all of our, any of our reference docs aligned with one another. So, I don't believe that the board had any concerns that these changes were so significant that they would, be not something that would be approved. So we've, reading through this, there's, certainly some great things that help just provide clarity and bring some language up to date. and it may help us as we deal with some, very unique situations.
Well, I know, oh, go ahead. Do you have some?
No, I was just gonna, so really today, with this, just a review of the proposal, there will be another public hearing. Yeah.
Yes, so this will come to you. So obviously today, this was our, the board has looked at this, and this was kind of our final draft to bring to you to say these are our recommended changes. Now, if you have any, thoughts or ideas or concerns and want to see anything changed, we can work through that. And then obviously with the feedback of our community, if any of these things need to be adjusted. And then when it comes back to you, it'll be presented to you in the form of a resolution to adopt these changes. Yeah.
I think that over the last 4 years, certain things, multiple things have come up, from the multiple housing on the same lot to man camps, to multiple man camps, to different things. That was the reason that we did this. It's not just one specific thing, but for 4 years, we've talked about doing this.
Yeah.
This is not something that just came up in the last 3 months that we decided that we're going to change this. This has been a 4-year process of looking through these things and what is not too invasive, what's a little bit firm,
Yeah.
And again, I would say that, yeah, I'll stop there. So is that all you have? Do you have any questions for Candace? Sure. Questions?
Just,
Good.
she answered.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Stay
thank you.
close.
I'll be right here.
All right. So at this time, we will, open this up for public comment. Public comment, we want to hear what you have to say regarding the changes that we had just taken, regarding these changes here. We won't be talking about anything besides those changes during the public hearing. And please bring any concerns, yay or nay, for the changes that are presented here today. If you have concerns or want to talk broader than that, we definitely would not mind staying after and having that conversation. So the floor is now open for anyone that has public comment, either for or against the proposed changes to the planning and zoning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Colette Erickson. I have used a property at 3005 East Victory Way for 25 years. I have my horses there. I live in town. My first question is, have y'all received this? It's a document dated January 5th to y'all, captioned regarding proposed amendments to Moffett County zoning resolutions regulating temporary, can't read with my glasses on, temporary uses and the definition of temporary.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I think there's a lot of good information in here. And I would also draw your attention to the Exhibit A, which was a petition where the opponents to the previous application for temporary use permit, we didn't get a chance to submit that because of the way that played out with the application being withdrawn without there being a second hearing on that. And I think it's also important to note that there are 47 signatures on there. I did appreciate your comment about the unlimited. The huge problem with this is these changes. Well, and so here's another thing. These 7, 8 questions here, I believe that there has been some conversation with Ms. Miller in which she responded that she would be providing answers to these questions. And to the best of my knowledge, no one has seen any answers to those questions.
Yeah, I think the reason that you did not see anything is you wanted us to answer something prior to us having this meeting. And so we weren't going to give you answers prior to us having the public conversation.
Are you going to answer them now?
We will answer your questions, yeah.
All of these,
But we will do our
1
best.
through
yeah.
8?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I
But you were
think,
asking us to do something prior to us having a meeting and making decisions on what you're wanting specifics when we haven't made a decision as a board that has to be done in public. So
sure.
that's what.
And actually, if that could be provided in written form at some point in time, that would be fabulous. So basically, I think my concerns and the concerns of a number of people in that neighborhood are articulated pretty well in here. It doesn't, and I didn't hear anything from Ms. Miller during her presentation to you, nor have I heard it from y'all about these ongoing discussions that have been happening over the past 4 years, that these changes, and some of them, my only concern here is this temporary, thank you, ma'am, is this temporary use business, which seems to me carefully crafted or not so carefully crafted to allow man camps to be permitted with very little public review in this county, and that there's no need for them. I haven't heard anybody articulate a specific need for a man camp, except for Mr. Bauer and his allegations that these guys will spend $200 a day in town. There's no substantiation for that. There's no facts. There's no facts to support any of this. I had a professor in college who said, if you have to say clearly when you're writing, persuasive writing, that you haven't made your point. And I would submit to you that that's what's going on here. There's an allegation that clearly these changes are needed, but there's no facts to support them. And I would like to see some facts
So
before
I
you
think
make a
we can give you
decision.
a fact. I think we
Sure.
just did a huge study. I believe it cost $100 and some thousand on, and the city has done the same thing on places, on the event center and places that were, the housing and then the places that people can stay when they're doing this, as far as the new apartments that the city's trying to do. There's been studies done showing that there is not enough apartments, and I'll try to get you those so that you would have.
Oh, and I think
Right.
that a man camp, and pardon me if maybe I'm not seeing, if I'm not bright enough to see something, but I understand that there's a need for affordable housing in this community. I understand that very well, and that's apparent to anyone. Affordable housing and man camps are different things.
No, I'm talking, I think there's also a study, and I'll have to see if I can find it, and I'll send it to you, that says that you have all these workers, and I think it was in our pumped hydro project that we just started, we're looking at, that was the study, right, of our pumped hydro project, that they're bringing 500 workers to Craig for this pumped hydro project that will take 5 years. And they say where are we going to house these 500 employees?
And can you release that document to the public?
I believe it is, isn't it?
And where would I find that?
I'll get it to you.
That would be awesome. I can give you my email address
Yeah,
if
I think
anybody
we have
wants. Okay.
Yeah.
Colette.erickson@gmail.com. Perfect. Because Probst Electric had, at one point in time during the summer of 2023, and that's in the petition,
Yep.
they had 823 guys out there. I worked for them. I drove a truck for them. They were the largest active construction site in the United States. They did not have a man camp. Transwest Express will be similarly staffed, probably over 800 guys when they're really blowing and going.
And we talked to pros, right? But they had people staying in bags and Rawlins.
They did. They had guys staying.
Vernal.
There was nobody staying in wrong. Well, when they were working up there, heck yes.
That was the
But
difference,
not
right?
when they were working
Yeah.
out here.
Vernal, Moffett
Yeah.
County, there's a difference.
Yeah,
there.
they were everywhere.
Location.
And they got ripped off royally by a lot of the charming landlords in this town. But point being, they didn't require man camp. And Transwest Express also states in their documents that are available online, their permitting documents, that they don't anticipate the need for a man camp either. So.
Yeah.
So I'm opposed.
Yes.
And I look
Appreciate it.
forward to the answers to questions 1 through 8 here on the comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak either for or against the proposed changes that we have here? Allison?
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Allison Anthony. I would just like this morning to contend that, as we've discussed in previous meetings, that these international property maintenance codes are unconstitutional. So any changes, I'm opposed. Any of them, I'm opposed. And you've taken your oath of office to uphold the Constitution and to protect our rights as property owners. And something I would like you to think about when you're thinking about these codes specifically is what's been happening in areas like North Carolina recently. I hope you're all attuned to what's happening there. And the governments there are not allowing people to do certain things on their property. People are being pushed off their property. And it's because of these international codes that these problems are happening. You need to think seriously about what you're doing with these codes. They're very serious things. And I hope that nothing like that could ever happen here. Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak either for or against the proposed changes to planning and zoning? Morning.
Good morning. My name is Kathy Keel, and I live at 4217 East Victory Way. And one point that I would like to make is I'm definitely opposed to anything that will make it easier for man camps. One thing is, I've heard you talk about the housing. And so I contacted some other counties and I asked them, how do you handle a situation where you have so many people coming into an area without having man camps? And so they told me that, and one of them being Routt County, and they said that, they allowed it for the time being. But they said that for the long run, they didn't want that to be something that they continue to have without having some kind of sewage control and things like that. So I said, well, how are you doing this? And they said, well, we talk to our local motels and stuff that are around, and we ask them how they can help out in this. And we have some that are already designated to hold a large amount of people that are coming into the area. So I thought, well, how are they doing it? We were told it was like $200 a night. So I went and visited some of the motels myself. I went in and talked to them. Of course, I heard the price from some of them at $200. Then some I went into and I asked him, I said, if something, I took them in the papers that you guys had issued out to us, and I asked them to look at it about the man camp. And I said, this is what Routt County, some of the other counties I've spoken with, this is how they're handling it rather than having the man camps. And I said, what can you do? What would you do? Well, it happened to be one of them, which was one of our finest, happened to have their district supervisor there at the time. And I said, they say they designate like one, and they come up with a price of what they would allow for that term, that it would be, say, 5 years or whatever it would be. Okay, what kind of price that can you come up with? So these people went into a meeting and they sat down with it was 2 motel chains with their supervisors, district supervisors, their managers, and they looked at all of it and they said, and they started popping up figures. Well, looking at it, totally serious. When we get done housing these men at our place, then after we get done with that, we're gonna need to repaint, we're gonna need to maybe put new carpet and everything. And they got really serious on it. They came up with some prices that I was just blown back with, prices that we haven't heard for a long time. I think we need to give our inner circle that's going to really benefit from this a chance within our county, within our town, because they said, we want to deal, we want to work on prices, we want to make these rooms available because we want to keep our already employees staffed in this area. And we don't want to see them lose their jobs because the business is going elsewhere in different directions. And so that's what I want to present before you. People have to get out behind their desks. They have to walk out to those places and they have to talk to these people personally. And they have to say, what can you do for us? How many rooms would you have available to do this? Let's not just get clubbed into one little area. Let's look at it and work with our people and find out what they can actually do because they are more than willing. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak either for or against these proposed changes? I appreciate all the comments. Going one more time? You don't have to. Come on.
My name is Megan Cook. I live here in Craig. I am on the Planning and Zoning Board, so I was part of the changes that were made. And I don't know if it's appropriate for me to speak, but the changes that were made were largely to simplify and then maybe to eradicate some of the issues that come across the Planning and Zoning Board's agenda routinely. And I don't think any of the changes that were made were intended to make life harder for anyone. I think it's largely to simplify the process and the procedure. But also, we live in Craig, Colorado, where our power plant is about to shut down. And I am invested in this community and I would like to see our community not struggle in a way that is going to hurt it, on a large scale. So I'm for all of these new projects coming in and they are going to need housing. I have a few rentals in town and rent has never been this high because of supply and demand. And we also worked with some of the solar guys out of that solar plant going in between here and Meeker, and housing was an incredible problem. These guys were paying $300 a week to live in hotels, and there were not enough places for them to live, and that's one project. If we have Pump Hydro and Peabody and a solar, and God willing, any other project that anyone's willing to bring to our community to help sustain us through the shutting down of the power plant, we are going to need some extra places for people to live, affordable housing also for long-term residents. But I believe the proposed amendments to the agenda are, or to the proposed amendments are completely reasonable, and it only serves to improve our community and make things more feasible for large companies and also for the residents to do the things that they want to do on their own property. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Either for or against? Last chance. Hearing none. Did these, and forgive me for, there were so many that we went through. Did these, so prior to these changes to, if we say we don't want to do a man camp, okay, they could put a trailer park there that lasts forever. And there's really nothing according to our zoning that we can really change to that, right? Am I correct or wrong? Yeah, please.
As conversations, whether it's solar or pumped hydro, number one question that, in any of the conversations I've been involved in, number one thing on my mind is, what are your plans for lodging? Obviously, all of the companies who are coming in, they're coming from other cities where you're a city surrounded by cities, surrounded by cities. So you have unlimited lodging options because it's just city as far as I can see. And so their initial response is always, well, we'll find hotel accommodations or RV parks. And it's like, okay, well, when that's not available, if we're bringing numbers 300 to 500, 600 guys over the course of 6 years, it may not always be 100% feasible that our lodging is available, readily available in the sheer number of rooms that they'll need to accommodate their workers. And not to mention that Craig, we're also housing workers doing work in other county, in Routt County. They're coming over here and utilizing our lodging, and then we pack a lot into a construction season, if you will, with hunters, tourists, projects from this county or others. But I just wanted to clarify that, number one, with all the projects coming in, their number one thought is not a man camp. That is a secondary option if they are not able to find consistent lodging for the number of employees that they have who are traveling with them for that project. So I just wanted to add that.
Well, I know that came up last time as far as, well, I mean, we don't have to do a man camp, we'll just do a permanent trailer park.
Right.
And that, to me, that's not the answer.
Right.
Then
So-
after they leave, you have a trailer park that's
Correct.
empty that we have no regulation on. And so,
Correct. And even as additional dwellings as a conditional use, which has existed since long before I got here, that is how a lot of these things are being approved through the process. And so when you see private landowners that have 4 trailers and they're providing lodging to just anyone traveling through town, that is something that they can have approved through a conditional use. Whereas really reviewing the proposed project to say, okay, if you've exhausted all your resources, you're not able to find the lodging, only allowing these types of things as a temporary use rather than a conditional use or a permanent use, in permitting, a subdivision or a mobile home park. So really trying to keep our finger on the pulse of, that these things may at some point be needed, maybe not right now, and maybe into the future. If we don't have the lodging available, this might be one of their only options. And that if we can make sure our finger is on the pulse, that we are ensuring that these projects are 100% temporary, and that they will not exceed, their permitted, the time on their permitted application.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Just one comment I've
Yes, sir.
already addressed, name and address. I would like you to seriously consideration depreciation of the area residents if there were a man camp or a trailer park put next to your property. How much would your property depreciate? Just something to consider. The permanent residents should have a good voice in that. We pay taxes like everybody else. Will our tax base go down? No. But our property value will depreciate if we look at resale value. So please consider that in anything. Another thing that could be added to the proposal, there was a lot of mention of unlicensed vehicles, but nothing was mentioned about just out and out junk. Moffett County is a disgrace to drive through. You've been around, you see all kinds of, for lack of a better word, crap piled up. Let's clean up our county, make it nice. That's one of the reasons that Routt County doesn't want any more man camps. They try to keep their county looking nice because of recreational purposes. I won't deny that. But Moffett County needs a good cleanup. Just pure and simple. Maybe that should be added to your resolutions. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And I think as we come to a close, I do believe, I don't know that when I talk to the Routt County Commissioners, that they're against having another man camp. They just didn't re-up this one. Their proposal says that if a new company comes in, they can have another man camp. According to the commissioners, unless they changed all that verbiage, you are able still to go to Routt County and have a man camp. They just, in their wording, they don't have to re-up your man camp. And so it'll be interesting to see in the future where that comes in Routt County. So we'll see what they say. So, all right. Appreciate everyone. We're going to close this public hearing and come back into regular session. Aaron, to get enough time to bring this back when we make a motion to table this to the next one if we need to, is the 28th sufficient in posting all our stuff, or do we need to go to February 11th?
Well, ask Candace, because do you have to run some legal ads or anything?
You want to go to February 11th? That'll give us a little bit of time so that you fit your 2 weeks in. I don't know if we want to make a motion to push this or the next table this, or do we even need to, because it's going to come back. Yeah, so I don't even know if we need to make a motion, but for the audience sake, February 11th is the day that we will bring this back to the deal. All right, we have two more things on the agenda here today. Number one, or number three, actually, on their staff reports is Moffett County Airport, Candace Miller, present final payment approval for airport project CR contracting.
So this is just the final pay application of retainage to CR Contracting. They were the firm that we hired to do the seal coat and restripe of the apron at the airport. That project was paid for via the county through the ARPA funds that were set aside specifically for the airport. So today I'm just asking for a release for partial retainage fee to CR Contracting. In the amount of $6,283.70. That will be the final payment to them.
Okay. What is our pleasure?
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the final payment for the airport project with CR Contracting for $6,283.70.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Glad it's done.
Yeah, looks great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. All right, last but not least, you didn't know what you get yourself into there.
Man, I guess not. I'm gonna ask Aaron for a different scheduling next time. Good morning.
This is
Commissioner.
Fairgrounds, Skylar Scott. Go ahead.
Yeah, I am formally asking to request to waive the standard RFP bidding process and award a contractor for the grandstands roof project. This request is based on the urgency of getting the project done before our late winter, early spring season hits, with the building being booked quite often. With that being said, the current roof leak is getting worse and worse, and it's causing more and more drywall damage and more problems during our current events that have been held in there this winter. I'm also making I'm also making this request due to the lack of interest I had this fall due to the uniqueness of the project, with it being a subroof that's actually underneath the grandstand's bleachers. This fall, I reached out to 3 separate contractors as we were working in part with our insurance company as well, and trying to get some interest in it. Only 2 of them provided any numbers on it, along with our insurance providing a payment of $24,813.51. The total budgeted for this project was $130,000 with that insurance money included in there. Jennison Construction has provided a bid with a Duralast material, PVC membrane that comes with a 15-year warranty for a total number of $127,750. Along with that, Charchalis Construction and Insulation was the other contractor that provided a bid with a TPO material that comes with a 30-year warranty of $134,760, and also the bonding was not included in Charchalis's bid. So with that being said, I suggest we move forward with Jennison Construction, the lesser amount, and award them the project so that we can get moving forward with this and get it completed before springtime hits here.
I'm glad that we got multiple bids. That always helps.
Yes, sir.
To be able to, I guess the big question on this for the commissioners is a 30-year warranty and 6 to 10 mil more membrane worth $6,000 plus bonding.
Right.
I guess that's the main question, right?
Yep.
Is the $130,000 budgeted for this project minus the $24,000 you're receiving from insurance?
No, it's all included in there.
That's included
Yes, sir.
with
Yeah.
the insurance. So
Yep.
you had a 110,000 or whatever, 106,000 budgeted and
Yeah,
then
county
24.
appropriated
Okay, all
dollars.
right.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, I think that's the big question. Is 6,000, maybe 10,000 more worth another 15-year warranty?
Right. And that exact question went across my mind too.
And I don't know what, I'm not a roofer, so I don't know what that 10 mil extra does.
Right.
Better or worse. I mean, I don't know. So.
Right. Forever with talking with both contractors and doing just a little research of my own, like either one of the materials that they provided is going to be more than enough, I think, because all of this material is it's rated for like this building, for instance, like that's constantly in the UV rays and different things, where that building's kind of unique because it never really hardly sees the sun. Like the way that it gets, or the reason for the subroof is when snow and rain blows in on those bleachers and melts, or the rain runs in there or whatever, when we have a lot of wind or something, then that's when that subroof fills up, that flat roof fills up with water. So, and also, just for the record, like for the best of my knowledge, I think that roof was originally done in like 1982. So we've got more than our lifespan out of what was there and done originally. So.
Does the 130 include enclosing it, or is it just re-roofing? Because I know there's been discussion that part of the issue with the holes in the roof was the kids getting on there and
Right.
getting on the gravel and poking holes.
Yep.
In
So
the treatment.
we have, I can touch on that real quick. We have had issues in the past with kids getting up in there and poking holes in the roof or trying to start a fire up there. Who knows, whatever little hoodlums want to do. But in both of those bids, Charchalis's and Jennison's, they included in there closing off it would be the south side is where those kids would crawl up from. And so they are going to be enclosing that with either pro panel or some sort of wood or something, metal bars to where there won't be any entrance through there except for the access door that's on the west side of the building.
You could throw some chain link around there and be,
Yeah,
can't get through it, right?
yeah,
Cheap.
yep. Yep.
Okay. What's our pleasure? Well, we got to start with the waiving of the bid, the RFP process first. We can have a motion for that.
Chair, I make a motion to waive the standard bidding process.
Okay.
Second.
Motion second to waive the bid process for replacement of the roof under the grandstands. All in favor? Now, the approve award to approve and award the contract for the replacement. What is our pleasure? Not everybody at once.
What's that?
We're letting you get practiced up.
Oh, I bet you go ahead and do it before you come share. More time.
Mr. Chair, I would move to award the contract for replacement of the roof under the grandstands to the low bid with Jennison Construction in the amount of $127,750. And I will note, well, go ahead and then I'll wait for discussion.
Okay, motion and second for the discussion.
I will note that this is something that Jennison will be able to get started on right away, which I think the only impact will be to 4-H practice.
Yes, yeah, and both contractors were aware of the urgency of the project, but yeah, they definitely will be getting on it right away. And yeah, with that being said, the only thing that we currently have booked in there is some 4-H shooting sports and dog practices. A few little things on the weekends as far as maybe some birthday parties and stuff, but I think we can accommodate them with moving them into the pavilion and doing some different things. And I've also been in touch with Jackie and Megan with 4-H and CSU and everything. They're aware of the situation, so.
Well, and I think, and the commissioners are, did we already vote on this?
No, we're still in discussion.
Okay. I think the commission, well, let's vote on it and then I'll say that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I think also the commissioners are fully aware that when you tear in to a project like this, the chances of that price being 127,750 are going to be slim.
Yep.
Because it's been leaking for a long period of time.
Yep.
You have no idea what's going to be in those walls and what's underneath there.
Yep.
So I think just so you know, we're totally aware of
Okay,
that
I do.
situation. When
Yeah,
it
I do
comes, we'll have to
appreciate
just
that.
figure out how to, we'll have to figure out how to make it right, right?
Yes,
If we're
sir.
gonna fix it, let's do it right.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
I think that is it. Next scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, January 28th, 2025 at 8:30.